Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of the Milford Informer. I am Tim Coet. We are sports heavy on the program once again this week. We'll get you caught up on several different games from the past week, and we'll also take you inside a ceremony held for a group of Milford athletes. Let's get to more of the details as we present our top stories rundown. Tonight, we'll take you inside National Signing Day at Milford High School, where 9 different student athletes were recognized after signing their college letters of intent. Also tonight, we'll show you a portion of the recent superintendent update, which featured a discussion with Milford School's IT director, Matthew Joseph. And later in sports, we are chock full of highlights, recapping a busy week for Milford's boys and girls basketball teams. This past Wednesday was National Signing Day. It's a day meant for high school student athletes across the country to sign their letters of intent, advancing their careers to the college level. Over at Milford High School, a total of 9 students were recognized in front of family, friends, and coaches at a ceremony held outside the gymnasium, and our cameras were present to capture this special occasion.
I want to welcome our parents, our superintendent, Dr. McIntyre, all our coaching staff, our athletic director, Coach Boucher, family and friends. We are very proud of you. You bring such strength to our school community. You work so hard at your academic achievement, your athletic achievement, your students of character, and we are very proud to be here today to honor and to celebrate your achievement as a student athlete in the universities and colleges to which you will be signing.
These folks have spent 17, 18 years getting to where they are. You folks have spent 17, 18 years chasing them around, getting them to practice, doing all the necessary things that make good athletes great and great athletes elite. So we want to take our time and just celebrate today. For some of you, this is a 10, 12-year commitment from, Pee-wee to Biddy, all the way up to, youth, all the way up to where you are right now. So I can't state that enough. We owe you, and we're thankful to what you collectively have brought to the table for Milford High School. That's something we can never forget, and we owe you that, okay? So thank you for everything that you've done. So moving forward, what we'll do now at this point is we will call up each single athlete, okay? We'll have them sign their LOI. Come on up, parents, take your pictures, and this is just in random order. So without further ado, we have a young lady who has, in my opinion, probably 2 of the best defensive moves I've ever seen in my entire life. One of them on the soccer field, one of them just recently on the basketball court. Nicole Dahlgren is signing with Merrimack Soccer, so come on up, let's get you rocking, buddy. Our next female athlete, I'm going to embarrass her a little bit, just from my observations. I enjoy watching you all play, but when I would go to a girls' soccer game, I've been doing this for 30 years. I played soccer before I was a runner, believe it or not. And if I could use the word tenacious, every time she touches the ball, she wants to score, and I think that's awesome. When she doesn't, you can see it on her face. She's furious. You probably touch the ball 40, 50 times a game, and she wants 40 or 50 goals. You can see it in her face. You can see the tenacity. You can see the fact that she's just assertive and aggressive with the ball, and that's what you want in an offensive soccer player. So without further ado, Kristen Franzini, or Franz, Sacred Heart University. I've been in athletics 38 years. I've coached some really great athletes. I've coached some super tough athletes. I did play a little bit of football when I was younger, realized it wasn't for me, or I wasn't for it. I wasn't good enough. To play a sport for the entire season with 2 broken wrists, keep that to yourself and continue to be at the top of the league and top of all these other boards and whatnot for yards and touchdowns. I don't think I've met a tougher guy than this kid right here, and I certainly wouldn't want to be on the wrong end of an argument with him either, to be totally honest with you. Blake Hill's going to Yale. We're super proud of that academically, athletically, but I can't say anything besides I don't know how you did it, but we're happy that you were tough enough to get to get it done, and we appreciate everything you've done for Milford High School. This young man gets to go play with his brother, who's already up there at UNH, and I will tell you, I've taken a lot of pleasure in watching him play and progress, because he's one of the guys that we've actually seen get better and better every year. And I don't think I've ever told him this, but I watched a lot of the games with Jonathan on the sidelines, And I just somehow, some way, started calling him the human steamroller, because he would line up and he would just run over people, and then they'd double team him, and then he would run over 2 people, and then they'd figure out they just can't deal with him, so they'd make sure they'd run the ball and move the ball the other way. So we can't be happy that we have the family in town with all the young guys that they have doing what they're doing, but it's been a pleasure watching you play, and I can't wait to see a UNH game with both of you guys playing. I'm kind of hopeful that that'll happen next year or the year after. We appreciate everything you've done. Thank you. I think there are certain athletes who are born with gift and DNA and then work really hard to get where they are. And then I think there's certain athletes who are born with what I'll call average DNA and work super hard to get where they are. And I really, truly mean this as a positive. I do. I really feel like Jack and I are in similar categories. I was not a gifted athlete. And you're more gifted than I am. I want to be clear about that. You are gifted. But I got to tell you, I've seen him work so hard in the past 3 years that I've been here to get where he is, to have this offer, to play college at the next level. And I certainly just admire all the work that you put in, and we're all super proud of you. But I'm proud of where you're going, man. I appreciate it. I would put A Song into, again, what I consider to be a very respectful category. I mean this with great respect. I think he's worked hard. You know, sometimes, you take a look at his biceps and whatnot. He lives in the weight room. These guys, Jack, Riley, they all do. They take this super, super seriously. It's the hard work that gets them where they are. I told a story to one of the newspapers the other day. The weight room opens like at 2:40, and at 2:42, if it doesn't open, if he's not knocking, Riley's knocking, one of these 4 guys is knocking. And that's how you get where you need to go, is that hard work, that dedication. This guy, I enjoyed watching him play, never quits on a play, never slows down until he hears 3 or 4 whistles instead of the one when he's supposed to slow down. Just a guy that's worked so hard in the 3 years that I've watched him play. We're excited to what the next step brings for you, my man. I use the word courage, and I've had people, how is athletics courageous? Well, it is very courageous because, depending on the sport, whether it's football, it's once a week, whether it's basketball, it's twice a week, it's not easy to suit up, put on a uniform that's red, white, and black that says Milford or whatever college you're going to, whether you're playing in front of 300 people, 3,000 people, or 30,000 people where some of you are going. That takes courage. That's not easy. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of nerves that go along with that. And our high school kids do it once a week, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes. And I just want to say from all of us, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all the way down the line. Thank you to the coaches. Thank you to the parents for having that courage to suit up and put yourselves out there. Because we all, start with myself, we all have bad games. We all have bad wrestling matches. We all have bad races, whatever. But it takes a lot more courage to pick yourself up, suit back up, come out for the next quarter, come out for the next half, come out for the next game. So I just love a big round of applause for these kids and the coaches and you guys for all that they're doing.
Recently, Dr. Kevin McIntyre stopped by our studio to record another installment of his Superintendent Update series. Dr. McIntyre was joined by another frequent contributor to our airwaves, Dr. Matthew Joseph, to discuss the latest news related to technology in the Milford Public Schools.
I'm Dr. Kevin McIntyre, Superintendent of the Milford Public Schools, and this is the Superintendent's Monthly Update. Today I have a very special guest with me today, Dr. Matt Joseph, and we're here to talk to you about technology in the Milford Public Schools. Dr. Joseph, can you just talk about kind of where we are right now?
Where we are is really getting into learning the possibilities of the technology that we have. And we often, when we talk about technology in Milford Public School, we say the word technology, but what we're really bringing into Milford Public School is the digital learning, the creativity that students are able to have with their learning devices. It's Chromebooks at Woodland, and there's also Chromebooks, some Chromebooks at the middle and high school. It's really having that creativity in lesson planning for teachers, the creativity in work production for students, and with that, it becomes empowering them to be critical thinkers. And when students are able to think critically, it also increases the collaboration and communication within the school day. So we are embracing technology within our school district, and thank you for that vision and moving that forward. But it's also moving to digital learning and using the tools that we currently have and hopefully expanding to enhance and extend the learning that's happening each and every day in the classroom.
And we've had a big rollout at Woodland Elementary School, and one of the things that we learned through our kind of research in rolling out the blended learning initiative in the technology plan in the Milford Public Schools is really kind of having things happen organically. And I've seen a lot of that happening. Walking around the building, I see teachers and students engaging in technology in a lot of different ways. Can you speak to that?
Yes, there's been many opportunities, either utilizing the interactive whiteboard that is in every classroom at Woodland, or what I'd like to do is show this clip right now of students utilizing a Chromebook within their classrooms. And oftentimes, people think when students have a one-to-one device, it's one student sitting there with the computer and not interacting. But what you see here in the video clip is students communicating, students taking notes, and they're researching. And those are some of the organic activities that are happening each and every day. And what that breeds is then the communication that we're hoping to, those skills that we're hoping that all of our students have with them, each other and with the teachers. And as you can see that there's a lot of learning going on. The students are engrossed in what they're doing. And then what you will see coming from that is the work products, the projects they're able to present. And I was lucky enough to be at Woodland one day when students were showcasing their projects. And the content was there, the skills were there, and their projects looked different. And it was exciting to see that their interpretation of the learning and their knowledge coming out in many ways. And teachers are using online resources, they're using Drive that Milford Public School has a Google domain, and they're using the interactive whiteboard for projection as well as creating YouTube videos.
So we're using technology across the district. I would love to hear from some of our teachers. Maybe we start at the high school level and hear what they have to say about how they're using technology in the classroom.
Great.
So every student gets a clicker, and the clickers have 4 sides. Someone hold up their clicker so we can see. Okay, every side corresponds to A, B, C, or D used in multiple choice questions. So as we use in here, we're reviewing for the midterm, so I have a question up and I have 4 different answers. And I post the question up here. The app on my phone or on my iPad allows me to scan the room and to scan everybody's answer. Once I've scanned everyone's answer, it comes in on this live view, and I can see individually what students have picked, the correct answer, the incorrect answer, or just answers in general. It puts it in a bar graph.
The technology that I use in my classroom, Sophia.org and Edpuzzle, has helped me as a teacher be able to allow my students to learn while they're at home by watching video lectures that I've produced, or even tutorials or playlists of videos that I've accumulated from websites around the web.
And having the Chromebooks and other technology in the classroom has been a boon to my teaching, but more importantly, it's been a boon to the kids and their learning and creativity.
While I use Chromebooks in a lot of different subjects, I've found it's been the most transformative in writing. A lot of the tasks that used to take a long time with pencil and paper, moving things around, editing, having to recopy what you've written, are so much smoother and easier on the Chromebook, so the students are a lot less frustrated. And where we're working on research, instead of having to find things that are at the student's reading level or reading it aloud to the students, they're able to use the Read and Write app on the Chromebooks in order to have it read the text to them, so they really feel a lot more independent and a lot more confident.
So where do you see technology going in the next 3 years in Milford?
I think moving forward, having students each have their own device from grades 3 through 12 will allow both extension of what they're learning and enhancing the content and curriculum within each and every day. The education is moving outside of the 4 walls, and we can't obviously take field trips each and every day, especially outside of our country, but where we're going in education and the tools that we have with the technology is that our students will be able to research and develop ideas from around the world and also start to create ideas that they work with each other and teach each other, and it becomes a forum for education where the teacher is a facilitator and the students are thinking about the possibilities and then sharing those with each other. For example, we have a few of our middle school students who would like to share how they're utilizing the technology and Chromebooks within the 8th grade classrooms.
I really enjoy using the Chromebooks in the classroom. It's a very useful tool that allows us to work together with other students, work closely with the teacher at home, and just generally it makes everything easier.
And I like using the Chromebooks because I can get my classes online if I'm absent, and we get to use Google Docs, and I can do all my work with technology.
Last Friday, the Milford girls basketball team continued their string of games against the Hockomock League Elite, this time welcoming in the Attleboro Lady Bombardiers. Attleboro came in with the league's top offense, so Milford would need to bring their A game if they hoped to keep pace. Let's take a look at the highlights. The Attleboro Lady Bombardiers entered into last Friday night's game boasting 3 of the top offensive players in the league, including current scoring leader Julia Strachan and 1,000-point scorer Sarah Deo. Meanwhile, Milford entered into the contest without one of their best scoring options, as senior captain Christine Pye was forced to miss the game due to an ankle injury. Would the shorthanded Lady Hawks be able to keep pace? Milford would get a quick introduction to Attleboro's big 3, as Sam Pierce would take the feed down low off the opening possession, and she'd get the easy layup. Then it was Hockomock League MVP contender Sarah Deo who would receive the long pass from Pierce well ahead of the defense to make it a quick 4 points for Attleboro. A few minutes later, it's Julia Strachan who gets tripped up but finds her footing, gets the pass, and nails the shot to put the Bombardiers up by 4. With Attleboro seemingly in control with just over 3.5 minutes to go in the first, Milford would start to respond.
Milford quickly scoops up the rebound. Irwin will let it fly from long range. A deep three-pointer nailed by Irwin, who's up to 5 points, and she ties the game at 8. Pierre Gustavo can't quite drive her way inside. They leave it for Irwin. Another 3 for Kate. And she is already up to 8 points in this first quarter. As we tick down to the final 90 seconds of the opening period of play, Strachan's shot partially blocked. And Milford now ahead in transition. Pierre Gustavo, like she got a hand in the face, but meanwhile that ball out from 3-point range, count it for Jess Tomaso. Pierre Gustavo able to save the possession. Now Tomaso, a tricky pass, deflects out, but Pierre Gustavo able to find it. And now Pierre Gustavo will hoist up the shot. It won't go, but Pierre Gustavo gets fouled and she will shoot 3. 16.7 seconds remaining in the first quarter as Pierre Gustavo knocks down all 3. Here's Mayer now. She loses control. The ball up for grabs under the basket, and Tomaso scoops it up. 5 seconds to go. Can Milford get off one final shot? They get it in the hands of Irwin. She heaves it up and nails the shot from just in front of the Attleboro bench as time expires in the quarter. What a play from Kate Irwin, and what an impressive start of the night tonight for the Milford Lady Hawks. They take a 20-14 lead on Attleboro.
Attleboro was not prepared for the energy level of the Lady Hawks over those final minutes of the first, but they would slowly start to adjust as the second quarter began. After Milford bottles up Sam Pierce inside, she's able to send the pass out on the perimeter, eventually finding Strachan, who knocks down the 3. But Milford would continue to work hard. Here the Attleboro defense overcommits to Kate Irwin, completely freeing up Jess Tomaso, who gets the 3 ball to rattle home. From there, Attleboro's 2 senior stars, Deo and Strachan, would be responsible for a quick 7-3 run that would tie the score at 25 with the first half winding down. Both sides would have the opportunity to take the lead down the stretch, but ultimately it was this quick release off the inbounds pass by Jess Tomaso that would serve as the final points of the second quarter, and despite serving as the heavy underdog in the matchup, Milford would take a 27-25 lead into halftime. After having the opportunity to regroup during the half, Attleboro, and in particular their Hockomock League leading scorer, would start to make the necessary adjustments to take over the third quarter.
This is the first time Attleboro has led since the first quarter. The fadeaway jumper no good for Irwin. Now Attleboro pushes the tempo up the floor. Strachan fumbled that pass a bit, but then was able to come through with the basket. Attleboro back up the floor looking to add to the lead. Strachan's shot blocked by Dahlgren. She gets it back though, drives inside, gets about 4 bounces around the rim, and it lands for Strachan. Ended up on her back, maybe trying to draw the foul. Did not get the whistle, and the points on the other end for Strachan, who is starting to take over this game in the second half.
Julia Strachan would put on a show, scoring 14 points during that third quarter. Attleboro would outscore Milford 21-6 overall in the period, turning a 2-point deficit into a 13-point lead. Attleboro would continue their dominant play into the fourth quarter, pushing the lead as high as 17 points before head coach Rick Patch would start to pull many of his starters. Milford's offense would come back to life in the fourth, but by that point the deficit was too big to overcome. A 40-point second-half performance for Attleboro would allow them to finish off the comeback victory. The Lady Bombardiers topped Milford by a final score of 65-54.
Meanwhile, the boys have also been dealing with a grueling schedule. After suffering through a tough loss in their matchup against the Attleboro boys last Friday, the Hawks would face off against the team right on their heels in the division race in the North Attleboro Rocketeers. The game took place at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence this past Sunday, and we were fortunate to receive footage of the game courtesy of Jim Miller.
For the second year in a row, Milford and North Attleboro came together in a marquee matchup on the home floor of the PC Friars. This year's game took on added importance, with the teams now duking it out for Davenport Division supremacy. Off the opening possession of the game, Anthony Arcudi thinks about pulling up for three, but instead dribbles his way to the free throw line and knocks down a two to get Milford on the scoreboard. Then after a three for North, watches Zach Tamani finds Arcudi in the corner, and Arcudi tallies 5 quick points to open up the night, giving Milford a 5-3 lead. Later in the first, Tamani can't find anywhere to deliver the pass this time, so he takes the shot himself and drains it from three-point range to make it a 10-8 Milford advantage. On the ensuing North Attleboro possession, Tamani channels his inner Caden Kelly as he emphatically swats the Rocketeer shot out of play, much to the delight of the Hawks bench. The Rocketeers would start to put it together as the quarter went on. They would force 5 Milford turnovers over the final 5 minutes of the first quarter. They'd close out the period on a 9-3 run, helping them take a 19-13 lead on Milford. Zach Tamani would open the second quarter with this flashy move to the basket, freezing North's big man Johnny Freeberg as he lays it in for 2. With Milford still down by 7, Anthony Arcudi gets up the floor quickly in transition. He can't finish the shot, but Caden Kelly flies in for the rebound, and he puts it back to pull the Hawks closer. Keep your eye on Nate Davila here as he sprints across the baseline, completely freeing himself from his defender, and he sinks the wide-open look to cut the North Attleboro lead down to 4. Check out the athleticism of Caden Kelly here. He uses his massive wingspan to reel in the pass, and in one move takes it to the basket, making it a 24-22 score with 4 minutes to play in the half. But again, North Attleboro would use the later stages of the quarter to go on a run. The Rocketeers would score 11 of the final 13 points of the half, turning a 2-point advantage into a 35-24 halftime lead. Milford would enter the third quarter looking for a big play to get momentum going in their favor. The play would come from Caden Kelly, but not from the low post. Instead, Kelly lets it fly from 3-point range, and the shot rattles home. That shot gave Milford's offense new life over the next 8 minutes. Everyone would get in on the action as the Hawks would outscore North Attleboro 16-6, bringing what was an 11-point halftime deficit all the way down to a single point as the teams approached the final period. Milford would keep things rolling as the quarter began. Once again, they put the ball in Nate Davila's hands from long range, and the senior delivers to give Milford a 43-41 lead, their first lead since early on in the first quarter. After North tied it at 43, Milford would immediately seize control with an 8-0 run that was capped off by this nice inside move from Caden Kelly. He'd turn it into a 3-point play to establish a 51-43 Milford lead with just over 3 minutes remaining. But in a game that saw wild momentum swings, the Rocketeers would create yet another, chipping away at the deficit until free throws from Brent Doherty tied the game at 55 with 5 seconds left to play, setting up a truly wild finish. Tamani's last-second heroics lift Milford to a crucial 57-55 win over division rival North Attleboro.
The boys were back in action on Wednesday against Kelly Rex division leader Mansfield. Milford started off strong, opening up a 12-3 lead in the early stages of the game. The Hawks also saw a career-high 30-point performance out of senior captain Anthony Arcudi. The game was close at the end of 3 quarters, but Mansfield was able to outscore Milford 16-9 over the final 8 minutes, and that would allow the Hornets to come away with the 66-53 victory. Taking a look at the boys and girls division standings, the Milford boys continue to hold on to first place in the Davenport with an overall record of 8-6. The Lady Hawks find themselves in 3rd place in their division standings, trailing both Foxborough and North Attleboro. Both teams sit just 2 wins away from a playoff berth, and both teams are in action on their home court tonight as they play host to Stoughton High School in a boys and girls basketball doubleheader. Milford TV has you covered for both matchups, so keep an eye out for full game coverage as well as highlights in the week to come. And now let's take a look at this week's upcoming events.
Coming up on Saturday morning, MyFM 101.3 will start to get you pumped up for the Super Bowl as they host a big game tailgate party. Join MyFM for a party filled with good food, music, and prizes. MyFM Sports Live will be on air broadcasting live from the event, and fans who arrive between 11 and 11:30 will be qualified to win tickets to a regular season Pats game next season. The Big Game Tailgate Party takes place on Saturday, February 4th, outside Gateway Liquors in Bellingham from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also on Saturday, the Claflin Hill Symphony brings you the next performance in their 2016-17 Symphony Series. The concert is titled Fire and Ice and will feature the works of Stravinsky, Sibelius, and more. The concert takes place on Saturday, February 4th, inside Milford Upper Town Hall beginning at 7:30 p.m. To purchase last-minute tickets for the performance, log on to their website at claflinhill.org. And here's another reminder that coming up this Monday, the Milford Public Schools Special Education Department will be hosting an open house. The primary goal of the open house is to bring together all parents of special needs students in Milford to meet and network with special education faculty members. There will also be discussions about the possible addition of a Milford Parent Advisory Council. The Special Education Open House will be held on Monday, February 6th at the Teachers Resource Center inside Milford High School from 6:30 to 8 p.m.
As we close out this week's show, we want to remind you once again that we encourage all of our viewers to send us your feedback. If you have information on an upcoming event, or if you have an idea for a potential news story, feel free to send me an email using the address news@milfordtv.net. We hope everyone enjoys cheering on the Pats in the Super Bowl this weekend. And from all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coet saying have a great week. So long, everybody.